Hello everyone. In this session, we'll be learning about image processing and data augmentation. So what is the definition of image processing? Digital image processing is the use of a digital computer to process images through an algorithm. There are two types of image processing technologies. One is when you do the image processing directly in the hardware itself. Doing your image processing in the hardware itself has some advantages and some disadvantages as well. The advantages are that you can use the hardware to do your processing very fast, and based on the hardware feedback, you can even try to get more information while taking the image itself. For example, let's say your room is very dark. If the hardware can understand that your room is dark, it can open up the shutter for a longer period of time to ensure that more light enters the camera and you are able to get a better image. Using digital image processing, you can artificially try to increase the brightness of your image, but the quality will be very bad compared to the hardware one. The disadvantage of using a hardware based image processing is that you cannot keep on changing the processing once your hardware has been manufactured. Also, if you want to keep on adding new and new algorithms, there are multiple constraints which do not allow you to have a very complicated processing in the hardware section as well. So each of them have their advantages and disadvantages. While writing your own code, you can only do digital image processing because you already have your images. Inside digital image processing, there are a lot of algorithms. We are only going to see some of them today. So we are going to focus on cropping, resizing, changing the brightness, contrast, saturation, rotating, and some more features as well. So let's start. So today we'll learn how to do image processing using NumPy. This is a quick recap of how NumPy works. First, we import NumPy and give it an alias np. To initialize an array x, you can use np.zeros and you can provide the size of the array. This will create a two-dimension array of 100 rows and 100 columns, and by default, the arrays are initialized by a dtype np.float64. So this will store float values having 64 bits. If you want to initialize a new array which has similar shape and type as your previous some other array, but you want the values to actually be 0, you can use np.zeros like and provide the other array inside of this. This will create a new array which is filled with zeros and has the dtype and shape of the previous array. Similarly, instead of zeros, if you want to initialize your arrays with 1, you can use np.ones and np.ones underscore like. After this, let's say instead of initializing with zeros and ones, you want to initialize your NP array with natural numbers or whole numbers. You can do that by using np.arrange. Over here, you can set the starting point of your sequence. So it is 10 over here. The next argument is the final value of your sequence, which is 100. And over here, the third argument is the step size. So it will start at the value 10 and then keep on increasing the sequence by a value of 5 till it does not reach the value of less than 100. If it reaches 100 or greater than 100, the sequence will stop. Next, you can also use NumPy to generate random numbers. So to generate uniform numbers, you can use np.random.uniform. You can specify the minimum and the maximum value of the uniform distribution and also specify the size, so how many numbers you want in the size attribute. So over here you'll get an array of size 100 rows and 100 columns. Each of the elements are randomly sampled from the uniform distribution. To generate random normal numbers, you can use the np.rand dot random. You can provide the size directly, and it will generate random numbers from the normal Gaussian distribution. A normal Gaussian distribution has mean 0 and standard deviation 1. To generate random numbers from Gaussian distributions other than the normal Gaussian distribution, you can use np.random.normal. Over there, you can specify the mean in the log parameter and scale, which is the standard deviation in the scale parameter, and also the size. This will generate a random Gaussian distribution with having mean 0 and standard deviation 1, which you can configure yourself. So this is how, using NumPy, you can generate random numbers from the specific distributions. NumPy has a lot of other random distributions as well, which you can explore on your own. So now that we have looked at the basics of NumPy, let's start with revising some of the other concepts. So first of all, let's have a look at reshaping. So let's say we generate a sequence of numbers starting from 0, ending till 100 with a step size of 1. So this will generate random numbers going from 0 to 99. And then we reshape them to a size of 10, 10. So this will convert your one dimension array, which starts from 0 to 99, into 10 rows and 10 columns like this. So you have 0 to 9 in the first row, 10 to 19 in the second row, and so on till 99. So using reshape, you can change the dimensions of your array, and you have to make sure that the number of elements after reshaping should be equal to the number of elements before reshaping. Otherwise, NumPy will throw an error. Next, let's say we want to take only some parts of this array. To do that, we use slicing. The syntax to do slicing is like this. Let's say we want to take all columns from the 5th column till the last, which is the 10th column. So we want to take rows from the 5th row to the 10th row and columns from the 0th position to the 5th position. To do that, this is the syntax. So we set 5th to 10th row. So you can think of this column as 2 and 0 to 5 columns. When you do that on arranged of 100, you'll get the cropped slice, which will look like this. So it's an array having 5 rows and 5 columns. It starts from 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, and then takes in the value 60 as shown over here. So this is how slicing works. In NumPy, if you add some value, which is a scalar, to the matrix, NumPy will automatically add the scalar value to all the elements of the matrix. So this will be an element-wise scalar operation on the entire matrix. Also, let's say you want to iterate over the different elements of the NumPy array and apply some values. You can do that by using iterables inside the indexes of your array. What it means is that, let's say you initialize an X array having np.zeros, 5 rows and 5 columns. So it has all the values zeros having 5 rows and 5 columns. Now we want the diagonal elements to have the value 1. To do that, you first do np.arrange of 5. This will generate numbers 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. np.arrange of 5 over here will also generate values 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not 5, just till 4. When you use this syntax and assign the value 1 to it, Python will automatically first take the 0th value, which is 0, and also take the first value, which is 0, from this array, and then it will assign the value of that position to 1. So first we'll get x of 0, 0 equal to 1. For the next element, we'll get 1 out of here and 1 out of here as well. So we'll have x of 1, 1 equal to 1. This will keep on going, and always the value of here on the first dimension, which is on the row dimension, will be equal to the value in the column dimension, and all the diagonal elements which have the same row and column number will be set to the value of 1. So we can get the value 1 on all the elements, on the diagonal elements of the array. If you want to set a different number on a different coordinates, let's say you call this a coordinate of 0, 3, then you can create an iterable or a list which has 0 in the first row uh, dimension and 3 in the column dimension. You can create a list of it, and then you can set its value to 1. So you can have any iterable in the x dimension and any iterable in the y dimension and set its value to any value you want to. This reduces the need for using for loops, and as you know, using for loops in Python is very costly. So this saves a lot of time computationally. So why were we learning about NumPy when I started talking about image processing? The topic was image processing, right? This is because you can visualize an image as a 3D array. So whatever operations we have learned in NumPy will help us in manipulating images. For example, we learned about slicing, where we can crop an image. So by using slicing on the NumPy arrays, you can actually crop out an image, which is an image processing task. As you might remember, this is how an image is represented in a computer. So you can think of this image as a NumPy array having some number of rows, some number of columns, and 3 dimensions, each dimension corresponding to red, green, and blue channel. So first of all, before we start manipulating the images, we need to first load them into a NumPy array. There are multiple ways in which you can achieve this task. The first is using the pillow library. From the pillow library, you import image, and you can do image.open and provide the path to your image. When you open your image in such a fashion, it is not exactly a NumPy array, but it is an image object. You can convert your image object easily to a NumPy array by doing np.array of x, which will convert this into a NumPy array. So still, even if it's not in NumPy array format, the data is loaded in Python, and you can find out the number of rows and columns by doing x.size. Sometimes it's necessary to open an image as an image object instead of a NumPy array, because some libraries only support the image object. They will throw an error if you try to pass out a NumPy array while doing some processing. Next, if you want to directly read your image as a NumPy array, you can use cv2.mread. If you provide the path, it will give you a NumPy array. In NumPy arrays, you can find out the shape of the array by doing x.shape. When you do x.shape, you'll get the output as 310 rows, 310 columns, and 3 values, each for R, G, and B. There are other libraries as well which will allow or help you to read the images. One such library is matplotlib.pyplot. So you can import the PLT, which is pyplot, from matplotlib, read the image by using the imread function, pass in the path of the image, and you'll get a NumPy array. There is a slight difference between how CV2 reads the images and how PLT reads the images. PLT reads the images in the format RGB. So the red channel is the first channel, the green channel is the second channel, and the blue channel is the third channel. But in CV2, you actually read it in the reverse order. Instead of RGB, it's BGR. So the first channel is blue, the second channel is green, and the third channel is red. This might get confusing if, let's say, you open an image in CV2 and try to plot that image using Matplotlib. Then you'll get very weird looking images on your screen. So coming to how do we actually show an image in Python, you can use plt.mshow of x and then call plt.show to actually show that image. So this is how the images are shown in Matplotlib. If you passed in a cv2.mread red numpy array, then your image might look very weird. There are a lot more NumPy functions that you can read about and which it is necessary to know. These are some of the important ones which I have mentioned over here. You do not need to start going through all of them at the same time. Once you start using NumPy, start doing image processing, you would require some functionalities. You can just go on the docs of NumPy or even Google it, Google whatever functionality you require, and you will find a corresponding NumPy function to solve your needs. Like let's say you want to square every element of your NumPy matrix. You can use np.square to achieve that. If you want to find the sum of all the elements of the NumPy array, you can use np.sum. There are many other functions which can keep on looking as you get familiar with NumPy.